So you guys were one. I'm hearing a lot of you guys. You guys wanted a theme song shortened, so here we go. This girl reviews movies, games, and books. Sometimes she plays them. So does that. And when she does it with the cat, does that make her crazy? Does that make her crazy? Probably. So it's shorter. There you go. Crazycatlady or Martha Butler does not own any trailers or pictures. I use them under fair use, educational, for education and entertainment. Alright guys, I got finished reading The Traces of Two Paths. Now, I won't be able to spoil everything, because with this one I had to read it myself. I couldn't find an audiobook for it. And if you know how I read, I like to buy the book, then listen to somebody read it to me, because I have a reading problem, but I have a hard time focusing mainly. So this one had a hard time for me. So with me, so yeah. So if I don't cover everything, that is why. I couldn't find an audiobook for this one, which is sad. So I just had to pray for the best with it. So this one is about it talks about two different characters in it. Talks about Tifa and Aerith in here. Like the first story is Tifa's story, and now if you want to know what the story is referring to, it's basically everything that happens before Final Fantasy VII. Now it does touch on the Niflheim part of it, and for Aerith it talks about her time when she was basically being experimented on for the first time when she was a little kid with her mom, her birth mom, not her adopted mother, and when she's being experimented by Hojo, the jerk that Hojo is. I can't. Can I cuss now? Okay, I can cuss now. The asshole that Hojo is. So yeah. Because Hojo is basically Dr. Frankenstein. So yeah. And a guy you really just want to see die. And every time I have to hear that we have to protect him, like, hell no. So yeah. Why do I want to protect somebody who does this who hurts Aerith and Red the way they do? And Aerith's mom. So yeah. So let's talk with Tifa's story first. Now, this is being told by Tifa in a third person, but they're like on their way to everybody's on their way to a town basically, and she's telling her story to Barrett, Red, and Cloud, and Aerith. So yeah, and we do hear their opinions in the back sometimes and stuff like that, and we do touch on the fact when Tifa does meet Baron, and they're gonna be spoilers in here, so prepare yourself if you haven't read it yet. So we do touch on the fact that Tifa did help Barrett and Marie, the little girl, that he helped. I don't know if that's her name or not, but some sort of Merited, I think it is Marie or Merited. Let's see, we mention her name way more often. I haven't watched the movie in a while. I haven't played the game in a while. I'm gonna play the game before the new one comes out, and I'm gonna have to have the trailer play in the background. I might have my reaction on here, just in case for people who are watching this have not seen my reaction on it of my Rebirth trailer that came out a couple days ago. So yeah, I'm gonna try my best to find it. But this one is fine. I liked it. So she helps, the part I'm touching on here, she helps Baron get a home because he was homeless, and she gives him a home in Seven Heaven, the bar. And so and then we also talk about the fact that Aerith and Cloud are basically Mary Jane and Peter Parker. They both grew up store together, and they grow to love each other, and then they probably end up being together, basically, since we know what happens in the games. If they still keep that, they better still keep that, because the way they're playing with Jesse, Barrett, the way they're playing with Jesse, Wedge, and Biggs' death was so weird in the remake. But we'll see. But I really hope they just keep. They better not do it. I just don't want them to change what happens with Aerith later on. I never played the original game, so I never played it, so I'm learning this while I'm going. I think I watched some people do walkthroughs. That's basically it. But I never played the original. And I have the remake. I have a downloadable version of the remake. And I have a physical copy I never played. Because I like the art book. Unlike art books. So I like the art. So yeah. So the part that they talk about with Tifa when she's little is that she was loved by a lot of loved by the other, but there's 3 boys that basically loved her too, besides Cloud. And when all 4 of them hit puberty, they really went after her now, and she was like misused a couple times in the book, because how hot she. Both of them were, because both Aerith and Tifa are both attractive, and men are cruel. When they see a hot girl, they are very, 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 very cruel. That's all I'm only gonna say. Nothing bad happens. Like, I think Cloud does get beat up on them because the 3 boys made a rule: nobody goes after Tifa, and nobody hits on Tifa. Now Cloud broke that rule because Cloud was not part of that conversation, so they got mad at him and beat him up one day because he went after her, and no, that he did not agree to that, so you should not have touched him. And then we get to the part where Cloud goes to join Soldier and stuff like that, and how sad Tifa was when he went. And then we touch on the part where Nipple incident. Now, if you haven't played, because this scene has been touched on so many times, it's not even funny. It's like Batman's parents walking into the alley, or Superman's planet gets blown up, or Uncle Ben. This scene has been touched on so many times in pop culture. Everybody can just recite it. 3 people show up in Niflheim. 1, Tifa does not know who the guy behind the helmet is because he never removed his helmet, even though she should know because it's Cloud. Then Sephiroth finds out the truth about who he really is. He goes berserked, and then he kills he destroys all the town, kills Tifa's dad. Tifa gets angry. Sephiroth slices Tifa, and she falls down. Gets doesn't remember that night because she almost died, and has a very hard effect. Both Zack and Cloud get experimented on by Hojo and become part Sephiroth. And I won't say what happens fully that happens to Cloud, because I'm not really sure, but I have an idea from what I've heard. So I'll find out in the remake. But yeah. So she doesn't know, she doesn't think that Cloud was there because she never realized the third person that was there was him, because he never removed his helmet around her. So yeah. And yeah. Then she ends up being trained by somebody in town. Then she ends up moving to moves to where Seven Heaven is. and she takes up since she allows Baron and Merida or Marie to join Seven Heaven, and but they're the last ones to join Avalanche, and Jessie helps her through stuff because she's mostly been hanging out with boys for most of her life, and Jessie's like technically the first girl that she's been friends with, and helps her like teaches her how to be a waitress, since Jessie would know how to be a waitress because it's kind of like ballet, because ballet and being a waitress are similar, she says. So like, and you had to have like show personality and stuff like that, and show put up a good conversation. And both of them, I know ballet mostly you don't talk, but you are putting up a conversation through dance. So you are kind of putting up, so you are kind of in a way. So yeah, and Baron wants to be leader when they join. So yeah, now let's talk about what happens with Aerith. Now Aerith's story is very, very sad. Like the parts where she gets addicted to the thing, to something basically while she was there, because how much Hojo was experimenting on her, up until the time where her mom gets killed by Hojo, and we get to see her hang out with Rio and Bruce and the other Turks, and her get to know and how like why Ruse basically is actually nice. How like it's always funny, and like Ruse is one that makes sure nothing happens to Tifa and Aerith because he's a nice guy, and he's trying his best without making it look like I'm gonna get fired because I don't want to hurt girls. So yeah, and basically it ends with like you don't get much. The sad thing is they focus too much on, like, I like both stories that they told here, but they focus more on Tifa's side of the story than Aerith. Like, look, if I had to like show you guys how this book is only 375 pages. Now, Aerith's story gets focused on, Tifa's story is the one that gets told first. Now, we don't start Aerith's story until page... Okay, we don't start Tifa's Aerith's story till page 195. So most of the story is told. They mostly focus on Tifa's. Now let's read the end of both stories to you guys. I'm gonna read a page of like part of it. Okay. First, let's start. It was the last page of Tifa's. Okay. It was no trouble. We are taking care of it. No, thank you for all of your. No, sorry for everything that we made you do. Tifa, crossed, Rockchin, and he pushed himself unsteadily to his feet. You don't understand. I love you, but that's why Book 5, Paragraph 2, Section 2, Part 1. 1 foot and sweat into the snap and high, and the heels into the slapping into unto the door and to the sacrifice crack. Red 13 rumbled into the appearance of sacrificial. That is the final kick from patient into needing. Tifa smiled. That is consternation of the story of my young and depression of the years, and you grow out of those, have you? I think so. He pressed his eye onto her, searching. Tifa started to deafen my back. As Zakon, she contemplated an axe turning his muzzle away from his shift in the suggestion. No clue. You have no time to see him. Whatever that may be. Ah, yes, the long express expression. Still no eager into the deep of the art. Not really. This is not time we spare our using our own style. And if you trace our leaving alone so long. Red shrugged into the rip of the neck and chased into another wave. Better catch up with the others, she announced. The guests arriving as Tifa Lockhart stood and turned into the breeze and over the yet experiment others stood forward. Okay. Okay, now for Tifa's. No, for Aerith, I mean. Because that's pictures of the past. Which doesn't... I'll read the last bit of that one, too. Okay, here we go. Even that was a phase again, Tifa asked. Well, okay. Elena set off to the Briggs and stopped over the two haste of the brush. And the teeth and Aerith brushed onto apologize to Friggs in relation after the suitcase shrugged into the arms. Mom, she asked, where did the bullet come from? Who shot Friggs? I don't know, but I can guess. Elena shook her head and added, and stood and she rested the Zor onto jaw, and Aerith scanned her eyes and to time looking for crap and to just continue that might orders. Even seeing that Briggs again, Tifa asked a Risley connection and no time on to think the phrases and to realize, I bet after those years, all these years later, Aerith plays onto Zig and to the warning of between the horrors and sympathy. She knew that she did not want to see him again, and realized that the phase that she could wander up place and see if what form is taken. I'm here if you want to talk, Tifa added quietly. Aerith was grateful as always. If this pace is compared to thoughtful conceptions, if it's easy to speak to her past. Of her past, when Tifa was the one listening. Well, actually, Aerith announced already certain to the next thing that she wanted to share. I'm kind of hoping that we could talk business. What kind of business? You know, business. Aerith paused, then added, boys. Oh, that kind. A meddle into the conversation, but both women taken to the type of the rant and next to the glaze of their lips. Heavy footsteps were coming towards them, and Aerith and Tifa stood. Tifa suddenly split the edge into the mong of her now's corner. The second trick by it, Aerith's chest realized that she was holding her breath, and then the footsteps hailed into the familiar voice of Cloud. Stripe called out, "It's me." Tifa's face flowed of affliction, and obvious for a moment for a playful tone. Meeting adjourned for now. And she just did so, and Cloud wandered the corner of his own Shinra helmet crushed one arm. He glanced onto the two women, and his confusion. He had smiled and laughed at both Tifa and Cloud, and Tifa and Aerith. Okay. Alright, so let me read the other one. The picture of the past. Okay, she was crushed into the disappearance of this, and here is me, no surprise, the futuration of no mention of anyone. I pushed my helmet away from the flower girl's direction, and too nearly complacent into the Aerith and all right. She watched her vague and uncertain smile. Then we stood enough to talk, making this image and to know who I was. Aerith glanced at who she surrounded at the drawing pass. Hey, Aerith, I don't know where to start. And plays into what the plays in and before I mentioned a sorry guess that part of the ways and why are you always realizing the part of hoping into paths and although professions. Aerith stared at me and she possession blank and finally she cleared her throat and I'm sorry, I think that you have the wrong person. What are you talking about? You're Aerith. Your mother is Rennet, and she's an ancient. Didn't finish that word, and her face fondly stood, and the memory of trace onto the past and before without it. My bad, a voice, I said, and to the catching of my voice, I was mistaken. And face into the head and to the section 7, wanting to leave and can counter behind as I could. But I reached out to stop and glanced at Aerith and was watching my way. For a brief moment, I saw her eyes darted to the tongue in opposite direction. When I got home, Shinra greeted me to the door, and she didn't look a thing like Aerith. For the first time in a long time, I could remember for the great heavy phase of guilt of her growth, alongside my love, my partner, and mother of child, was gone. I felt for sure has been swept down for good. Okay, so that's basically it. So I'm gonna put my reaction to either beginning of this, of Rebirth, but next thing I'm probably gonna read. I already started it before I started this review, and that is where did I put it? I'm gonna read this one called Twilight Princess, the Legend of Zelda book part volume 1. I'm gonna read this one next. Then I'm probably gonna read Nessie or Mark Aries or Kiki's Delivery Service. Hopefully I can find an audiobook for Nessie. But there's also the Warriors book that's coming in the mail. It's gonna be here soon. I'm probably gonna read that after this. But unless you guys want me to pick something else, let me know. I'll put the pictures on here at the very end. So like, share, and subscribe, and enjoy my reaction to Rebirth. But so go to past Martha.
We're still here at the scene of this terrible disaster, caused by a massive tornado which swept through sectors 0, 1, and 2.
Yay!
The expressway.
Nami, no!
In progress.
Red! Open sesame?
Just look at it all.
Pretty!
Green. Even after everything we've done to it, it's still going strong.
Alright, day, everyone?
It look that way, but in reality, it's barely hanging on.
Oh.
I was wondering, what's Cloud been doing these past 5 years?
Why don't you ask him?
And you're asking me this?
Hey guys, I'm
This is
reading
gonna
this.
sound crazy, but as far as I know, Cloud was never in Nibelheim 5 years ago.
Life's dream. It is the very essence of our star.
Ah.
coursing through its planetary veins.
According to Hojo, they're connected to Sephiroth. Shadows of the Man.
Who cares about Hojo?
Sephiroth was in Midgar. We fought
Yeah.
him. Whatever happened, he's alive.
But why come back now? After 5 years, doing who knows what?
Sethy Ra?
Well now, think we woke it up.
No!
More like
Looks like a golem. Run, Red, run! We get to play as Red!
Latest and greatest, Elena.
She may be new, but she's still a turtle.
Game for Elena! Don't know you, but okay, good for you. Where's Rio, though? Don't tell me she's replacing my Rio. Yuffie! Yuffie and Red riding together.
Keep her away from me.
Sekti?
they say she's a monster. That she can peer inside you, into the very depths of your soul. That she can become those you hate, those you fear,
Uh-oh.
those you love.